Hello everybody, it's Saturday and you know what that means. It is time for some randomised grid action and the chat is already popping off. There's not been anything happen this week in F1, has there? I mean, it's been a bit of a slow news week. Welcome to Johan, welcome to Charlie, and hello to JJ as well, all in the chat. Of course, I was being totally facetious about the slow news week. We've had the Andretti bid rejected by Formula One, and then just, you know, the minor matter of the sport's most successful driver in history joining the most successful team in history, although that team hasn't been successful really for the past sort of almost 20 years. So small story there, I think. But yeah, welcome along everybody. If you're new here, guys, make sure you like the stream and subscribe as well if you haven't already. There's plenty of content coming your way. Yesterday we launched a new series where we try and end Charles Leclerc's curse around Monaco. I actually recorded some more of that this morning, and it's left me with a few questions about how to proceed. But once I edit the video, that will all become apparent to you. And also I have the Mercedes career as well, where we have seen Lewis Hamilton leave. He retired as an 8-time world champion, and we are now racing with George Russell and Oscar Piastri. Right, let's get stuck into some randomized grid and see where things are at. So, we've got Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. For anyone who's not seen this series so far, I used a wheel spinner at the start of it. It was like December, I think I started this series, to randomly put drivers into different teams. So you can see Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon ended up as best buds at Ferrari again. Lewis Hamilton joined Red Bull. Max Verstappen got sent to Mercedes. Charles Leclerc also joined Red Bull. And I was looking through the circuits and like seeing our winning streak, which is going back quite a way now. We've won the last 5 races at Ferrari. Fernando Alonso winning 4 in a row, and then Ocon winning in Suzuka. But for Red Bull, only Lewis Hamilton has won. So he won in Budapest, he won in Montreal, because he always wins there. He won in Spain and Monaco, and also in Australia and in Jeddah. Poor Charles Leclerc hasn't won a race yet, which is such a shame, and it's such a surprise as well, because obviously he's such a good driver and he's 3rd in the championship. Ocon, 3 wins, 4th in the championship. Leclerc, no wins, 3rd. You have the screenshots of Lewis in a Haas and Sargent in a Red Bull. Should put Max in a Sauber and the lowest rated driver in the Red Bull. I mean, that's something I'm looking to explore, a flipped grid series. There's lots of ideas I've got floating around. It's just having the time to put all these things together. So for anyone who doesn't know, I am a full-time radio journalist during the week. So if things seem a little bit rushed sometimes or less refined, that's probably why. I might have had to spend a bit more focus on work. I cover an entire county for work. So it just depends on the way my week is. If I can get ahead on things, great. If I can't, then sometimes things can come across a bit rushed. But I do like to keep that Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule for you guys, and also a live stream at the weekend. And we've got our next live stream series coming up as well, which is going to be McLaren with no upgrades until Austria, and see if we can repeat the success that they had in 2023. The coincidence that Red Bull has Charles and Lewis when they're actually going to be teammates in real life. I mean, first of all, I couldn't believe they got randomised to the same team. I thought they were going to walk the championship, to be honest. But we've done all right, actually, at Ferrari. We've developed the car. We've done really well. Yeah, we're leading both championships. And we've got a sprint weekend here in Qatar. So let's get stuck straight in to the Qatar Grand Prix weekend. What a beautiful image that is. The sun setting in the desert. A lot of chat in the chat then, no pun intended, about who is going to replace the departing Lewis Hamilton. But I think first of all I should start with my own opinions on it. So if you can see over here, I'll bring it closer to you, there is a model Lewis Hamilton helmet, the Brazil 2021 helmet. Just such a fabulous helmet, and obviously fantastic memories for me as a Lewis Hamilton fan. And over here, this side on the printer, is a scale, actually remote control Mercedes W12, and around my room I've got several Lewis Hamilton caps knocking about as well. So it's safe to say I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan. This news absolutely blew my mind, and it's just, I dismissed it out of hand at the start when I saw the news article and saw the rumours that it could be announced that day. I was like, this just isn't true, because first of all, you had a contract, and we were all under the impression that contract was 2 years. Apparently it wasn't. So it's just been one of those bonkers days a couple of days in Formula One, I honestly didn't think it was true. And as the day went on, it became more and more apparent that actually there was real substance to it. And even when I read the press release, it just didn't seem correct. It felt like something from an out-of-body experience, because ever since Lewis has come into F1, he's always been fighting against Ferrari in some form. And even in those years where Sebastian Vettel was top dog at Red Bull, he was still fighting Ferrari with the McLaren to be best of the rest. And then in those years against Sebastian Vettel, he was fighting the Ferrari team to win the World Championship. And he obviously came out on top. It's just, Ferrari has always been the enemy. And then obviously Red Bull turned up with Max Verstappen in 2021, and they've become the new sort of top dog in Formula One and the team to beat and the driver to beat. But Ferrari have always been the enemy. And for me, so I grew up in the late 90s watching Formula One, and Ferrari were the enemy because I was a McLaren fan. Mika Hakkinen, David Coulthard, always going up against Michael Schumacher or in 1999, Eddie Irvine, of all people. And then obviously Rubens Barrichello was at the team, and they had Raikkonen and Massa. Just, they've always been the opposition. It's just been, it just didn't look right. And the thought of Lewis in red didn't feel right. He's always had, obviously, black recently with the Mercedes liveries, or silver. So the white overalls and the silver cars, especially at McLaren as well. So it just didn't feel right. But the more you understand about his reasons for doing it and what might actually be possible, actually it feels a really exciting opportunity. And he's come out and said today that it feels similar to the move to Mercedes in 2013. So it's ahead of a rule change. Obviously there's going to be questions over who gets top dog treatment, but Fred Vasseur he's been put in charge of that team because he's a racer. He knows what he's doing. And also, Ferrari at the moment are a team that just haven't won. They're not a winning team, if that makes sense. You talk about sort of football clubs where they've got good players, but they necessarily they haven't had the experience of winning things. You don't look at a team and go, oh, that's a winning team. You think like Chelsea in their pomp with Frank Lampard, Drogba, John Terry, Petr Cech, winners, players who'd won lots of trophies. They could get over the line even when they didn't have the strongest team around them. You look at Ferrari, they're not winners. That group of engineers, that team hasn't won together. You look at Mercedes, they are breaking up that winning team, but that winning mentality is still there. And of course, Red Bull, loads of world championships across that team. Our car setups are woeful here, by the way. I'm going to try and fix these quickly. This is dreadful. You do not need this going on. So yeah, there's lots of winning being done by other teams that aren't Ferrari. And it's the same with McLaren as well, because they've got to build that winning culture. And that's kind of essentially what it comes down to, is that culture and understanding how to get the job done. It's not necessarily a question of ability, it's the know-how. So it really becomes a question of, are Ferrari ready to win? With Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, they're ready to win races, but they haven't succeeded really in taking a championship fight on. But you bring in Lewis Hamilton, and he is the man when it comes to getting the job done. The only time it hasn't been got done was obviously Abu Dhabi 21, and there's always been something going on when he hasn't got the job done. So I think what's going to happen is he goes in and he will shake up that team. He will drive them on. He will push the engineers. It'll be a fresh voice, but most importantly, a winning voice, a voice of experience that goes, look, we need to do this, this, and this, and I can lead you to those victories and that world championship. And honestly, if he goes to Ferrari starts winning again, hopefully he starts winning this season, but if he goes to Ferrari, starts winning again, and wins that 8th World Championship, bringing them a World Championship back to Maranello for the first time since 2007, I mean, his legacy as probably the greatest to ever do it is almost unquestionable. He'd have done it at McLaren, he'd have done it at Mercedes, he'd have broken all the records at Mercedes that he possibly could have. Then he went to Ferrari for a bit of a swan song and ripped it up there as well. There would just be no question. So it's a fascinating story, something I'm now really excited about now that I've got my head around it. I was basically the exploding head emoji, and now my head has come back together. I'm kind of getting my teeth into actually what does this mean. By the way, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon will start on the front row for this race. We managed to fix the setup somehow. So that's good. This is also practice 2, so we don't care about that. Let's just simulate. If we have to take engine penalties, then we will. In the chat, I saw someone say, what does this mean for Mercedes? Stay out. Loving this. It's massive for Mercedes in positive and negative ways, because obviously it's not good to lose a world champion driver, but George Russell's matched Lewis Hamilton over the last couple of years. Okay, 2023 wasn't his best season in terms of results, but the speed is there. So I think George is absolutely capable of leading that team. What tyres have we got left for this? Because the AI just burned through their tyres. We're going to keep 2 sets of hards for the race and a set of mediums. 2 sets of mediums, that's fine. The softs, if the AI go on softs on here, they're going to get punctures. It's going to be mad. Right, let's set the driving options. So yeah, with Mercedes, it's not good to lose all that experience, but I think what we'll see now is definitely a changing of the guard. That much is obvious. But you'll see new people rising and taking responsibility, and obviously first and foremost of that is George Russell. But this is, like Toto Wolff said, an opportunity for them to maybe do something bold. It's an opportunity for Kimi Antonelli, but he has to excel in Formula 2. If he wins Formula 2, he'll be in the Mercedes next year. Absolutely no question, because there is precedent for it. Lewis Hamilton did it in 2006, winning GP2, and went into McLaren in 2007 and won races. Could have won the World Championship. I'm not saying for a second that Antonelli will do that, but it's definitely a possibility. Let's do the sprint, and I'll explain who I think should be in that seat and why. Hello to Sean Gray in the chat, and hello to the Wiki Tiki 123 as well. Let's get some racing action then on this Saturday night. The lights are out immediately. They really were not held for long. Alonso leads the way. Ocon down to third, and where is he going? Why is he over there? He's losing lots of places as they swarm through turn 1. And Hamilton, Lewis Hamilton, absolutely needs this win. He's gone for it on Alonso. Takes the lead of the sprint. And they're fighting away. Let's jump on board with Fernando. We're almost banging wheels. But Hamilton in the Red Bull has taken the lead of the sprint. He'll only gain 1 point. It's not terrible. Hello to Callum in the chat. Good to see you there. It's great to have so many people in the chat. Hello to Donovan as well in the chat. Welcome along. If you are new to the channel, please give the stream a like and subscribe if you enjoy what you're seeing. And yeah, there's also a Discord as well, which I've got a friend who's going to give it a bit of a facelift and jazz it up a bit. So keep yourselves in check with that. Make sure you join through the link that's in the description. Let's see how this sprint unfolds. Hamilton is on soft tyres, so he's going to have to nurse them to the end. Basically, the softs won't last in this race. Ocon, I'm going to ask you not to fight your teammate. We gave him the opportunity to win in Suzuka. We're not going to bother with that, at least in the sprint, because we want Alonso in prime position. We don't want to be faffing around having to deal with getting Alonso back ahead of Ocon and risking a collision, which they have done earlier this season in Imola. It brought out a red flag and caused chaos. So, who do I think should be in the second Mercedes, or well, the lead Mercedes maybe? Who do I think will replace him? And do I think Hamilton will win a title with Ferrari? If they give him the car, which I know is an obvious thing, yes. I think over a season, Hamilton can beat Charles Leclerc. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. That's Magnussen dropping down the order with a spin. So, the person I think should replace Lewis Hamilton is Fernando Alonso. And we're watching him right now. Hello, Tobias. That is my brother. Genuine. That's why he says hello, brother. How are you, brother? All good to see you. So, Fernando Alonso, the driver we're watching at the moment, is the driver I would pick to replace Lewis Hamilton, because you put that world champion experience straight back into the team. Mercedes, with Russell and Antonelli, could be absolutely phenomenal. But what you do need to consider is this is a team that is built on winning. And I don't think the Mercedes brand are going to want to hang around too long if they're only third, maybe even fourth in the constructors. We've seen big name brands disappear for less than that. So it's important for that winning culture to be in there. But of course you've got to consider that Fernando Alonso can be rather divisive. Wikitiki says he's not sure if Russell's ready to lead. And that is a question mark as well. Is Russell ready to be the team leader? I think he's almost there. We saw in 2022 he was capable of delivering the results that Mercedes needed while Hamilton was figuring out what was going on with the car and doing all those crazy wacky setups. So it's definitely possible for George to take the mantle of team leader, but I also think you need that winning experience still in the team on the driving side, and George hasn't won a huge amount of races yet. We're closing in with Alonso on Hamilton, whose tyres are just about to fall apart basically. We are also deploying, which is definitely helping. I'm seeing a lot of people mention Alex Albon. Yes and no. But yeah, Alonso, that winning experience going in, he's absolutely capable of winning another set of races, maybe even a world championship. And he's available. He will be available. We know it's a definite 2-year deal, possible 3-year at Aston Martin. But let's be honest, the relationship that's going on there, I'm almost certain that Alonso's representatives will have been discussing this with Alonso, maybe with Mercedes and Aston Martin already, to get him in that car for 2025. It all depends on how good the Mercedes is this year. If it's not looking too good, then I think they maybe go with Antonelli, because they know they're coming from a lower starting base. But if that car wins, if the W15 wins races this season, then it's absolutely a no-brainer to go, hello, Mr. Alonso, let's have you in the car next season, just like he's taking the lead in the sprint from Lewis Hamilton, who started on softs. It's been short-term gain, it's going to be long-term pain for Lewis, sadly, in this sprint race. The mediums will hang on, although not if we keep pushing them like that. Ocon's, that's because his are on attack for ages. But let's have a look at the tyre life. Everyone's gone for softs, and they will, if they carry on pushing them, they will get punctures. So we'll just keep an eye on things going forward. Tobias says Vettel could be an option. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a shout. Would Sebastian be prepared to come back? But you need a more long-term option. If you're going to go with someone older, Alonso or Vettel, who are you going to choose? You're going to choose the guy who's been in the car the last 2 seasons and performing very, very well. Seb kind of tailed off for a bit and he's gone off and done his own ventures. That's fine. I wouldn't expect him to come back. If the car's not ready, maybe Albon. Very amiable character. Gets on well with George Russell. Very fast as well, so he'll push George and works well with the team. Good balance there. Antonelli, young, prodigious speed and talent, would just be phenomenal. Would he come in and take the series by storm? We'll have to wait and find out. But what about Carlos Sainz as well, the smooth operator who's been ousted? I feel really sorry for him in all of this because it's no fault of his own. He's just been basically booted out. I feel so sorry for him. So, yeah, just it's blown the driver market absolutely wide open. And it's just Formula One, isn't it, at the end of the day? As the great Murray Walker always said, anything can happen in F1, and it usually does. We have got a lot of drivers with ropey tyres. Piastri, 15% left on his tyres. Sargent, 19%, but he's also had a spin. Bottas, 21%. Who's going to be the first to get a puncture? Let's see. We'll go at double speed. We are leading the race with Alonso. Ocon is... Oh, if he drives in... Let's go high overtake aggression with Ocon. Can we get him past and have a Ferrari 1-2? Is he close enough? Just send it. Just send it, Esteban. Yeah, that's it. Forza Ferrari. Grazie ragazzi. And we're first and second. Tobias is off to work. Awesome. He works nights, so have fun with that. And good to hear from you as well. Do you think Hamilton's engineer will go to Ferrari? I think they would be smart to try and get Bono. Whether Bono wants to go and live in Italy is the problem. There's always been a question mark over, especially weirdly, like people based in Britain, English people going over to Italy. The cultures never really seemed to work. Who was the designer? Chap who designed, was it John Barnard, if I remember correctly? He went over to... He went over. He had his base in Guildford design office there, and then was trying to work remotely. Didn't work. So it's it's a possibility. I think they should go and try and get Bono, but if he doesn't come over, then it's fine. It's just another relationship for Hamilton to build. Apparently, Sainz's refusal to sign a new deal. Oh. Fernando Alonso wins the sprint and extends his championship lead, but that's interesting that Sainz refused to sign a deal. Maybe he... Well, I mean, he won a race last season and Charles Leclerc didn't. So, therein lies his value. He's their most recent winner. Wiki Tiki says he wouldn't be surprised if Bono leaves. They've been recruiting Mercedes staff since 2025 for 2025. Yeah, there's rumours of is it Riccardo Mastoni, the old who was race engineer for Bottas and for Russell last in 2022. So there's rumours of him, and there's another one. Oh, we've got punctures, by the way. Albon just crossing the line, and Zhou has got a puncture. Piastri somehow has held on. But yeah, it's mad back in Qatar, especially in the sprint, because you've got to use one set of tyres, and the AI just doesn't comprehend making a pit stop. Bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But Fernando Alonso, with his Aston Martin branded helmet, wins for Ferrari in the sprint. Love it, love it, love it. And Lewis Hamilton's got a grid drop in the Grand Prix as well. So we're going to start on the front row and probably go on to win this race, because we do have basically the best car. So it'll be a medium, hard, medium strategy. We'll probably do that. A bit more time spent on the hards. No, we do want to update the strategy. Esty Bestie. We'll basically do the same with him. McLaren is rubbish in this game. It's based on the early season performances, and they never develop. Like, I've not seen a single save where McLaren come through and become a top team. It's bizarre. Like the order. We're in season 4 with the Mercedes series, but it's the order is generally the same. There's not been too much shuffling. And we've had the 2026 reg change, so it's bizarre. Sean's going to start a new series with Ferrari, but Hamilton's very expensive. If you're playing on PC, Sean, use the editor that I use. There should be, if you go to my experiment videos, there'll be a link to the editor in there and how to download it, but it's only available for PC, sadly. Let's get this Grand Prix up and running then. I've also got the darts down here, and Luke Humphries is already 2 legs down to Stephen Bunting. That is very interesting from the world champion, but he is at a checkout first. Despite Sainz's win, never seen him as a future champion. Yeah, that's a bit harsh, but also a fair comment. As the lights are out and the race is on, is Ocon going to go wandering around again at the start? No, he's taking a more conventional run into turn 1 this time. Although Max Verstappen is going around the outside of him. And we know what happens when Ocon and Verstappen get together on the track, but they've survived this time. Leclerc is basically the face of Ferrari right now, and that he's definitely been paired with the face of F1. I mean, there's a possibility that Leclerc absolutely has all the ingredients to be the next Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, he's going to be up against Max Verstappen in terms of the long run, but Verstappen's been making noises about moving on and whatnot, so Leclerc could be the man to take that mantle afterwards. So if he can learn from Hamilton, he can absolutely become the face of F1 himself. JJ's downloading the editor too, definitely worth it. There should be 2 links in the experiment video descriptions to share with you how, first of all, to install it, and then where you can get, well, so first of all, where to get it, and then obviously how to install it. Yeah, the Hamilton news has made everyone forget about Andretti being told to go away, which we'll get to in a minute, but obviously the big news is Hamilton. So how many of you think he will win a race or a world championship at Ferrari when he joins them? We need to probably not be so deadly on our tyres here. John's playing on a PS4 and he's a lot of money, yeah, and a lot of money to pay off Sainz. It is, but probably worth it, I would say. Probably worth it. What's your start? Give us the numbers. What's the start budget? What's the payoff and the cost of Hamilton's contract? Charlie reckons it'll just be a race, no world championship. Charlie. We are comfortably winning this race, by the way. Hamilton is back in 7th, Leclerc in 5th. Mercedes are actually good at this point. George Russell, last. Oh no, not last. No world championship, says Charlie. Hulkenberg spins off. But it's alright, he wasn't inside of a podium. He hasn't bottled it this time. Verstappen. Oh, I thought my computer was about to crash, but it's just done its weird format adjustment on my second screen because they're slightly different. I think they're the same size. It just doesn't quite do the right zoom sometimes. Verstappen, yeah, he is. Whether you like it or not, he is a 3-time world champion. That's what the record books say. Although, I think in Lewis Hamilton's head, he considers himself an 8-time world champion, even if the record says 7. I mean, that's a whole different can of worms. But yeah, Verstappen doesn't need to stay much longer. It's really weird. His attitude sometimes I find really odd. Like he's the top dog, and he's constantly going on about how he wants to retire and how he doesn't like things. I'm like, okay, be. It's fair to not like things, but obviously offer more positive criticism, I suppose. Sean needs to give Hamilton about 30 million and pay off Sainz with 9 million. What's your total starting budget? Bear in mind that 30 million to Lewis is over the course of a year. So if you can execute your objectives within races really well, then you can earn that money back. No problem. Alonso now leads 3.5 seconds over Ocon. We're just moseying on to our pit stop windows. It's very easy, this one. I actually meant to turn the race difficulty up to hard ahead of this race, but I suppose we'll have to do that for the next one in COTA, which is also a sprint weekend, so probably good that we're having a fairly quiet one. Hello to Race to Glory in the chat, welcome along. Give me your thoughts on Lewis Hamilton going to Mercedes. Will he win a race, or will he win a world will he win a world championship? Ocon's pit stop lap is now. Why isn't Alonso's going one lap further? So Ocon's about to get an undercut. Has he got 3? No, he's got a used set of mediums. I thought he had a. We've got 2 new sets of softs. That's pointless. They're pointless. They won't work around this circuit. JJ says Lewis was the better driver in 21. Max dominated the final race. Sure, I think you've got those two the wrong way around. I would say, as much as I dislike saying it, I think Max had the better season. Lewis was definitely the dominant driver in Abu Dhabi. And if Lewis, you can argue that the right driver won if either of them had won. But Verstappen was certainly deserving of winning the World Championship. Not in the way that it happened, because he'd been beaten on the day. On the day that it mattered, he was beaten. But that's a whole different aside. It's funny how VCarb and McLaren have the same motto now. Have I missed something there? Ocon's got a... Lads, what's going on at Ferrari? I haven't trained you to do this. Although we did have an exhausted pit crew. 8.7 seconds. Jeez. That's not a good pit stop. Talk to me about these mottos. What am I missing there? Ocon's having a... Oh, he's just going to nip out in front of Verstappen. That's going to be alright. Whatever it takes. Fair enough. Fair enough. Is Alonso okay in the pit lane? 2026 is where we'll see Ferrari's championship criteria. And an ambassadorial role is what might have learned. Oh, we've got another slow stop. Slightly...
Oh, please. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
We'll be closing pit exit. And Bottas is coming.
Hamilton's also in. He started... Did he start on mediums? He must have started on mediums. Or did he start on softs? Let's find out. Yeah, maybe an ambassadorial role for Ferrari, but I think, really, he's more likely to take an ambassadorial role with Mercedes, even after the Ferrari stint, because I just see Lewis as a Mercedes man. That's just the way I see it. Hamilton will do what Vettel did. Win a race, maybe a couple, not a championship. You don't go from winning 19 out of 22 races to not winning if you're Red Bull and there's no big reg change. Yeah, that's a fair point. I see maybe a couple of wins in 25 if the car's good enough. Lewis is good enough to make the difference. As Yuki Tsunoda actually leads this race, by the way. But if the car in 2026 is a championship winner, Lewis will win the championship. I think he's still got one in him. Absolutely. Lewis is the whole face of Mercedes, so they've got a problem. Yeah, I mean, there is that. Alonso, that is not an overtaking place. Absolutely not. That is ballsy from Fernando Alonso. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see what happens post-career for Lewis, but he's still going to be in the car, so we'll wait and see on that. What happens afterwards. So after all the pit stops, Ocon has dropped down to P5 from P2. Gasly hasn't stopped yet, so Ocon is a net P4. Never thought Hamilton would leave Mercedes. No, nor did I. And now I have to buy red clothes. And red doesn't suit me. If you've ever seen me go on holiday, you know I just turn red. I burn so easily, and half the problem is because I forget to put sun cream on and I have fair skin, so that's my own fault. Go Yuki. Yeah, it's gone though. it's that South Park meme, and it's gone. So he's now 6th. I think he did go into the pit lane though, so that would explain it. Alonso now leads from Hamilton, who's on mediums and is chasing us. I think Hamilton's going medium, hard. Vettel was right about everyone being a Ferrari fan. I mean, definitely nowadays, the mid-2000s, early 2000s Ferrari were incredibly hateable. So easily hateable, like detestable. The way Schumacher conducted himself at times, the way things panned out. The whole Austria 2002 thing was just absolute filth. So they never managed to get past that. They were always the team to hate, and they always seemed to benefit from FIA interventions. So it was strange, and they even benefited from Spygate, didn't they, in 2007? So in terms of they ended up winning. I say they benefited. It's maybe not the right way of putting it, but because McLaren didn't have the constructors to worry about, it just became about the drivers, and they were more focused on each other. Poor Barrichello. Yeah, Rubens was definitely a top driver, but he wasn't. He was like that. He's in the same sort of category like Carlos Sainz will find himself in. Easily a race winner, probably just lacks that final tiny bit that makes them a world champion. And Rubens had his chances, but he wasn't good enough to beat Schumacher, and he wasn't good enough to beat Button. And I mean, Jensen's a great driver, but obviously his talent showed he was only worthy of one world championship, and I think that would be a fair reflection. Ocon is fighting away here with Leclerc and Verstappen. Let's deploy. Let's go standard on the tyres because we don't want to make them die.
Just look after these tires.
Let's start driving in clean air as well.
Okay.
Oh, Yuki, he's gone off. Has Verstappen just made a mistake? Oh yeah, Verstappen's just gone off. Ocon has basically scared Verstappen off the road. Here we go, through that mid-sector S section, and Verstappen, I mean, shows he's human. If the car's right, I feel like Lewis has another world championship in him, but it's going to be tough to beat Max. Absolutely. It is going to be difficult to beat Max Verstappen, but anybody who says Max Verstappen has changed or anything in his driving conduct, I say conduct, but the way he races, like in terms of overtaking, we saw in Vegas exactly what he does, and he's always done that. It's exactly what he did in 2021. He will push it as far as he can and probably a little bit beyond what's necessary to get the job done if he has to. For most of the last 2 seasons, he hasn't needed to. So, yeah, I mean, if you start putting, I think, without getting all sort of sensationalist or anything, I think the only driver Max Verstappen truly worries about having a good car is Lewis Hamilton. I think he's the only driver Max knows can beat him on any given day in any given circumstance. But it's not a slam dunk that Hamilton would beat him in those circumstances. It's tight, it's fine margins, it's strategy, things like that. So, but it's that pure speed. I think he knows over a race distance he's got Leclerc covered, and there's not really anybody else. Maybe Lando. We haven't really seen Lando yet, and we haven't seen George Russell consistently at the front doing that sort of thing. I would love to see Lando have a better season this. I say better season, but a more consistent run, get a bit closer to Verstappen, and really challenge week in, week out for those race wins and put Verstappen under pressure. because I think that would be a fascinating dynamic just to see how Lando plays it, because he's this sort of happy-go-lucky chap, isn't he? And everybody loves Lando, and Esteban Ocon's tyres aren't loving him at the moment. So I think it'd just be really interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. Are we sure Max is human and not 100%, 110% AI at this point? I mean, it's possible. He might really be a robot. That's definitely possible. Talking of AI though, and computer simulations, we are 10 seconds clear of Hamilton now. His mediums are starting to feel very second-hand. Ocon, have we got another set of hards? No, we don't. We're going to have to make these mediums last a while. So let's get to our pit stops. Hamilton's in. What's he gone to? It is a set of hards. So he's not really close enough to undercut, is he? So this is how you get the job done, Ferrari. Maybe Ferrari, get on the phone. I'm waiting for your call. I know how to do it. Who watches Arava? I'll be honest, I've not really ever watched his channel. I mean, I've seen bits and bobs of what he does when he dips into with like. So, I'm going to show my age here. The F1 YouTuber Championship. Quality YouTube content. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. F1 2015 was a dud game, but between Arava, Matt Gallagher, Tim Marduk, and Noble 2909, they made the game incredibly interesting. Just brilliant content, absolutely brilliant content. The sort of content I could only hope to match. Fernando Alonso into the pit lane, smooth stop, lovely jubbly. Ocon, what you doing, bro? Well, we need to make those mediums go to the end. Leclerc is in. Are we going to feed back out ahead of him with Ocon? I don't think so, and he's on soft, so even if we do, which we have, we're probably not going to hang on to the position. But we might be able to catch Hamilton. Let's wait and see. We'll just keep moving through this. Ocon is under pressure from Leclerc, but we're probably just going to have to let him go, which is disappointing, but good for Leclerc. Good for Leclerc. My content is great, but I think you need a new camera. Yes, I certainly do. The camera I've got is just a little small webcam. It was cheap and cheerful. It did what it needed to do because I didn't have a camera for my PC setup, so I just got something that was cheap. But yes, it's something that I am looking into. As I go through things, I will upgrade bits and bobs, but part of the problem as well is I feel my desk isn't big enough. Bear in mind I work from home, so I do need a certain amount of space on the desk. Can't have it just be a nest of wires and cables otherwise, and I have my work stuff over here, which I then move into position. But then these screens don't get used. Well, this one in front of me does, but this one to the right doesn't, and nor does the webcam. So it would just get a bit messy. But yes, I do need a new webcam, better quality on that. It's kind of a mend and make do sort of approach at the moment, but I'm glad you enjoy the content, and I suppose that's what's important. If you're enjoying the content, that's okay, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here, so thank you very much. What we don't appreciate is being 2 seconds behind a Red Bull when we would rather be on the podium. That said, Leclerc's tyres could be a bit ropey towards the end of the race. We're not really making any inroads on Hamilton, are we? We're actually a tenth slower. Let's move on to the end of this race then, so we can get to COTA. We kind of know that barring a mistake, Alonso's going to win this race. We might just be catching Leclerc on the last few laps. So yeah, the Lewis Hamilton news wasn't the only big bit of news this week. The Ferrari starting budget is $28 million, almost $29 million. So yeah, I suppose you could probably stomach taking Lewis on instead of Sainz and paying him off. So it's up to you. I'd go for it. I'd give it a go, because Hamilton's a higher rated driver than Sainz, so it would give you better results. Haas has 20p. Oh, yeah, of course. On Thursday, was it Friday? Yesterday, wasn't it? The Haas unveiled their new car and then promptly said we're going to be last, because you know that's a team that adds value, isn't it, to this sport? Which brings me to the other bit of news that broke this week: Andretti being rejected. A shame, but ultimately not a surprise. Team to manage other than Ferrari. I would go for... Well, if you want a real challenge, start with Alfa Romeo, because they've got the worst car on the grid. That would be a challenge, but maybe... Yeah, maybe do Alfa Romeo or Williams. Maybe go with Williams. We aren't getting past Leclerc, and I don't like it. Yeah, I suppose you wouldn't have enough to upgrade the car. So there is that. It is a balancing act, Sean. I do appreciate that. But again, it's your save. It's completely up to you. I can only give you advice. Go for Mercedes, Callum. Yes. Good shout. Good shout. It's just a shame that the driver database doesn't go as deep as like Frecker. You could put Antonelli in there. That would be good. Right. I don't think we're passing Leclerc anytime soon for the podium, so we'll just crack on to the final lap. Where is Alonso? Just following that white dot. And here he is. Going to win by almost 20 seconds. Fernando Alonso wins the sprint, wins the Grand Prix. It is amazing, isn't it? B1! Love it, love it, love it. And Ocon did get third. He snatched it on. Look at this. This is insane. I didn't think he was going to get it, but he's pinched it in the final corner. Look at that. And then he gets DRS across the line as well. Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for joining in with the chat. See you soon. And hopefully see you next week for next week's stream. But thank you for joining me. And yeah, that is a great way to finish that race, because we've ended up with a double podium. Right, let's get on to COTA then. Hamilton with a great drive, actually, up 6 positions, but he's lost another 9 points to Alonso, so the lead is up 49 points now. Ferrari are slowly starting to crush the Constructors' Championship too. Okay, so we've got 11 days to the... Oh, wow. We need to replace basically everything that's important on Ocon's car, because it's all just gone kaput. Oh, I forgot to tell you that the board were in attendance, and obviously they're really happy with the fantastic result, improving the confidence in me. Have I tried salt and pepper chips and chicken? I have not. Do explain. Callum's going to spin a wheel for who he's going to manage. Let us know how that goes for you. Alfa Romeo won the wheel. At least they won something this year. And talking of Alfa Romeo, how does everyone like their steak? If you do like steak, of course. Not everyone likes steak. Some people are vegetarian, vegan. For me, I like my steak medium rare. Right, let's just simulate the session. I have been faffing around taking the engines in and out, but it's not. Callum's not a fan of steak. But the Chinese salt and pepper chips and chicken, it's spice that I'm not good with spice. Not good with spice, so I might have to steer clear of that. What is going on with the setup? It's a mess, basically, because we've left the engineers to it, and Ferrari will Ferrari. Yeah, we'll just do that. That looks kind of okay. We'll give it some more front wing. Just try and fix this a bit, because the engineers are clearly completely incompetent. Oh, you love steak, just not the team name. Right, are we going to love qualifying in COTA? No. Oh my good God. What has gone wrong here? We're 5th and 7th. And Hamilton is on pole. Have we... Well, the setup could have been better. It could also have been worse. Right, we'll go with medium tyres for... Oh no, this is... We want soft tyres for practice. JJ's a vegetarian, so doesn't eat steak. Fair enough. For what it's worth, my mum is a vegetarian as well. Although she never forced me to be vegetarian as well. Which, I mean, I do appreciate, because I'm not much of a vegetable lover. Much more of a fruit person when it comes to, like, that side of things. Okay, so this sprint is going to be interesting. Let's make sure we move forward. I think I'm just going to times 16 the sprint just for time. Right, let's do this. And let's get into the sprint. There we are. I need binoculars. I'm not used to our cars being this far back. Right, 5 red lights. The lights are out, the race is on. And we'll just jump into the 2D first. What would you need to upgrade for Alfa Romeo? Everything. I would start with probably the underfloor and the side pods. Right, Ocon has managed to shoot his way up to P3 in the opening couple of laps, which is very good from him. He's back down to P4. Leclerc's winning the race. Johan, where you gone? This is your moment. Oh, there's a fly flying around. It's all happening. It's all happening in the office right now. Tsunoda up in P5. I think what we need to do as well is drive in clean air, and then we'll go past. But Alonso immediately passes Tsunoda. Let's actually look at some of the racing. So Hamilton's back in the lead. Red Bull are just fighting. They're locking horns, pun intended. Yeah, underfloor on both wings would be a good start. Oh, that's Verstappen right round the outside of Ocon. And Alonso's come to join the fun too. Side by side through the S's. Don't recommend. And Alonso, oh, I thought that was about to be collisions. Albon's had a lock up and our drivers are now fighting. I'm going to ask... Alonso's got himself up into P3. That's great stuff for him. He's at peak confidence. I was just going to ask Ocon not to fight his teammate. Don't need to worry now because he's not behind him. Let's deploy and see if we can catch up with the Red Bulls. People are sending me text messages. Do I think it would be better if, when you do well, teams come in for you and you can move it? Yes, I think that should absolutely be a thing. I think your performance should be reflected in the... Obviously, it's when you switch teams, obviously if you're doing really well, your rating is higher, more teams will be accepting to you going to them. But you should also have the opportunity for teams to come and make offers to you, like mid-season. And you still have to sign a contract. So... You see out your contract. If you decide, you don't want a new contract at the end of the season, then you can do that. You become essentially a free agent, and you wait for a job that pops up. So you might just get something organically pop up as Alonso moves into P2. We are deploying and going for it. Ocon is now P4. So yeah, I think a more dynamic driver market and team market, and also with the team staff as well. It's just gonna, hopefully it layers up over years and years. So you add that dynamic element to it, that it's not just, at the moment it still does feel a bit static and a bit sort of linear. But yeah, you add that sort of dynamic element to it, that fluidity, and suddenly this game goes from here to here very quickly. And talking of going from here to here, Alonso's going for the lead of the sprint and taking it. There we go. He puts Hamilton on the curbs, and from 7th on the grid, he's now winning the race. And this is what sprint races were designed to do. See cars come all the way through from the middle of the pack. We have lost the lead, but we'll just have a scrap with DRS. We're now back in front. Ocon is still P4. I'm going to top up the battery so that when basically we get to the last lap, we've got plenty of battery and we can just rinse it. Don't actually know what tyres everybody's on. Oh, everyone's on mediums except Albon, who I think did go in the pit lane. Ocon's now P5. Dude, what are you doing? Verstappen has just arrived. Oh no. It's Tsunoda who's come through. Verstappen is behind. We need to get past Tsunoda. Hamilton's dropping back a yellow flag. Ocon's run a bit wide, and it's basically one of those where he doesn't really run that wide. Okay, let's get to the last lap. Hamilton.
So there was a crash.
Has Hamilton gone off? No, he's just dropped back. There's been a crash involving multiple cars. It's Carlos Sainz and Logan Sargent, and that's Gasly. Sainz with the weirdest drift. That was strange. We've pulled it over a second on Hamilton. So I think this is another win for Ferrari. Another crash. Who was it this time? Let's have a look. It's Perez, and there's a car with a puncture. That is Sargent. And Perez has just trimmed his front wing. Hello to SHT in the chat. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Sargent, yeah, 0% tyres. We're on the final lap. Hamilton moves into P2. They also need to put team orders in this, because otherwise teams just don't work the way they're supposed to. But Alonso's working the way he's supposed to. He even took a nerf halfway through this season when he had something happen. I can't remember what it was. He bumped his head or something and lost some ability. But it's not stopping him winning the races. Alonso's winning streak grows to 3 races, including sprints. SHT, we have been discussing Lewis Hamilton almost non-stop. I did start on the Andretti thing earlier, but I kind of went off on a tangent. But yes, the 24, 25 driver market has just been like explosions. Absolutely insane. I suppose my question to you, SHT, is will Lewis win races with Ferrari and even a world championship? We might be winning a world championship very soon with Fernando Alonso. That grows his lead to beyond 50 points now, I think. Well, or 250 points, maybe? Now, bear in mind, we qualified 7th. We're actually going to start the race on pole position, which is incredible. So what I'm going to do is... We've got a set of softs that are new. I think we do. So we'll do that. Medium, hard, soft. Always a good strat around. COTA will turn this the other way with Ocon. So he finishes on mediums. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Engine. We're going to need to give Ocon a new engine in the next round because that would explain why he is not as quick as Alonso. Well, I say not as quick as Alonso, but you know what I mean. To answer your question there, Sean, on my editor, with the release on the PC, I can change the starting budgets. So I could do an experiment where I give every team like a budget of 200 million or something, which would be kind of cool. Hello to Sajawal in the chat. Don't know much about F1, but still watching this. Well, welcome along. I mean, don't use this as a representative learning experience for Formula One, but hopefully you can take something from it and also just enjoy the content, I hope. Thank you for joining me. Oh yeah, having a bigger budget would make it easy. You can build up those smaller teams, give them those infrastructure investments like with the facilities, the factories and stuff like that. That would be good. Lewis has the ability to win or even battle for a championship. Depends on how Ferrari manage their drivers. Yes, it does. Lights are out, the race is on in COTA. Also depends if Ferrari can build a championship winning car. Yes, it does. And I mean, if this regulation set is anything to go by, they can do it. I think they just need to develop it properly. Yeah, sadly that editor is only for PC, but maybe there'll be one day that you can use on console. Let's settle these down. We don't want to cook those softs too early with Esteban, so I'm probably just going to get him to go standard for now, because it will come back to him soon. Weirdly, Hamilton has the fastest lap, even though Alonso's in the lead. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Yeah, another big question is who replaces Lewis at Mercedes. My pick is Fernando Alonso. Put that championship winning experience back into the team, but SHT, who is your pick? Who would you replace him with? How long is Hamilton's Ferrari contract? I think it's 2 years plus an option for a third, as he overtakes Alonso for the lead of this race. We'll settle down on the tyres. What's Hamilton started on? He started on mediums. Ocon is on a... Well, I think Leclerc's on an old set of softs there, as Hamilton loses the lead. Oh, Luke Humphries has got a chance to keep himself in this match in the darts. Sorry, just going off on a bit of a tangent there. I've got the darts on my iPad down here. Humphrey's needing 56. He's only just made that. Oh no. He left himself needing a double 20 to win the leg. But instead of hitting double 20, he hit 5. The big 5. Wow. Talking about dartitis. Double 2 for Stephen Bunting, and he goes through. Talking of things that go through, we might see Lewis Hamilton go through here. Alonso rumoured as well. Don't count it out. Depends on what he decides to do. I mean, if he feels that Aston Martin's the place to be, then yeah. What about Kimi Antonelli? I think he would need to win F2 to do it. I think if he doesn't win F2, they'll go somewhere else. But you can't really wait that long. You have to kind of commit to giving him the seat quite early, I would say. So maybe there's not room at the inn for... Maybe they go Albon and then they put Antonelli in at Williams alongside Sargent. Which could be potentially quite an exciting lineup if Sargent gets his act together. Yeah, a make your own team on here would be really cool. They got it in on the Codemasters game, so there's no reason why it can't go in on here. Hamilton's using more of his tyres behind us to try and get past us. A yellow flag, Albon with a spin. Albon's so inconsistent in this series. I don't understand it. So SHT goes for Albon or Ocon. Interesting. Yeah, I've seen those rumours of Albon being offered a 3-year deal at Red Bull, which, I mean, does he really want to go back to the Red Bull main team? I suppose they like him and he probably wants that seat. It's a chance to win races. It's the fastest car on the grid. But are you going to get fair crack at it, both in terms of opportunity and actual treatment, as Max Verstappen's teammate? Perez hasn't helped himself in the fact that he's been a bit shoddy. But, I mean, honestly, it's a tough ask. I think you need to be a Fernando Alonso type to go in there. Like a fellow world champion to sort of stand up to it. Perez to Mercedes, no chance. Absolutely no chance. Perez will probably... I've seen a lot of people like doing prediction things on like TikTok and stuff. Everyone's saying that Perez is going to retire. I wouldn't be surprised. But I also don't think that'll happen. I think a space will open up for Checo sort of in the midfield, and he's just a very good, solid pair of hands in the midfield. But if the championship is close this year and Red Bull have a team that's close enough to them, Perez's performances could cost them the constructors. Obviously, that's well documented after last year. He almost lost P2 in the championship to Hamilton in a Mercedes that wasn't worth anything. So, you know, it shows you just how up and down his performances can and have been. Talking of people who aren't having up and down performances, these two, they're having a right old slugfest at the front. Ocon's optimal pit stop lap has arrived, so he will be coming in. If Albon goes back to Red Bull, that would be insane, and also put Ricciardo's spot in the driver market really limited. Yeah, but then Ricciardo to Mercedes, race-winning driver, and it's a possibility. But the big question mark is just how competitive the Mercedes will be. This isn't a race-winning Mercedes. Well, at least we don't think it's a race-winning Mercedes that he's going back into, as Alonso takes the lead. Woo! Not woo, because he's just lost it. So I suppose woo backwards is ow. 4.8 second stop for Ocon. Basically, we're getting really slow stops at the moment because our pit crew are shattered. Alonso retakes the lead. There's been a crash. Oh no, I've clicked the wrong one. It's a simple DRS move. There we go. The classic back straight DRS pass around COTA. Alonso's optimal pit stop lap is also now. That's interesting. So I think we've only gone literally a lap further on mediums.
Box now, box.
That's incredible. And Hamilton is staying out, but his tyres were in worse condition than ours. And the team just wanted to tell Alonso how big his talent was before he went out. George Russell is second in an AlphaTauri. What the flip-flop? Apparently Ferrari doubled Hamilton's Mercedes wages. That would be insane. He was already on like 40 odd million a year. Everyone would go to Ferrari as a dream for everyone. I'd go for one race. The amount they pay me for one race, I could dine out for a year. Right, let's stop following George Russell second in the AlphaTauri. Is he about to lead this race in AlphaTauri? Because Hamilton's just gone in, having a slow stop. Surely not. Surely not. Where George Russell leads in an AlphaTauri. Have we got ahead of Hamilton? It's going to be uber close, and we are not ahead of Hamilton. And the strategy has diverged quite significantly. Perez is in the way in the McLaren. Hamilton's got himself boxed up behind the McLaren. That's not good news for him. And Alonso with 3 wide. That's an incredible double overtake by Fernando Alonso. Superb stuff. Have a look at this again. Gets the drive and just look at the difference. Perez was basically a Formula 2 car. Outstanding. Yet Mercedes have lost a lot of their personnel, but that's normal. You get a team that's basically built a dynasty like that for so many years. It's been together, and some of them start to move on. It's the natural progression of things. So the key for them is to replace them and keep winning, but that's kind of not happened because they've not built a very good car. But I suppose if they had the Ferrari or the Red Bull sort of package, they could still do it. A Ferrari deal worth $446 million. That is absolutely insane. Who even has that amount of money to just give someone else over the course of time? Utter madness. Right, 20 laps into this race around COTA, and we haven't really discussed Andretti yet. So the F1 statement was hardly surprising, very harsh, and the whole they wouldn't add value to F1 is just a stupid question, a stupid argument to make. Because did anyone know about Haas before they arrived in Formula One? I didn't. I won't say I followed American sport particularly closely, but I knew who Mario Andretti was, former F1 world champion. So if they'd come onto the grid, I'd have gone, oh wow, this is really cool. And then you see that they've got an IndyCar team and they've got a Formula E team, and they're a proper racing brand. And then you've got Stake, which is obviously just a placeholder before Audi arrive, but that's not a racing brand. And then you've got whatever AlphaTauri's become, that abomination of a name. That's not a racing brand. And obviously you've always had privateer companies that aren't necessarily racing brands, but they're like Williams and McLaren and Jordan were the names of the people running the organisation. So they were racers, so they were racing brands kind of by default, if that makes sense. Obviously you had companies like Minardi, obviously, which was has become the AlphaTauri and whatever it is now team. Alpine is sports cars, so, but are they as? If you said to someone, "Oh yeah, Alpine," would they know that's actually Renault? They wouldn't. But if you said Renault, people would know what you're on about. So it's, yeah, I don't get that argument. And the whole comeback in 2028, when GM build their own car, build their own engine, again, I find that really frustrating because it's just, why? Why make them wait? GM are going to need to build an engine at some point, and they're trying to hamstring that operation as much as possible. They don't want GM to take any intel from anybody else. But you know, McLaren could go off and make their own engines. Aston Martin have been open about the fact they want to do their own engine program potentially. They're partnering up with Honda, and they're going to take everything they know from Mercedes to Honda. So just it's a non-argument. Again, it's just F1 cutting its own nose off to spite its face, really. My pick is Alonso to go to Mercedes, reuniting with James Allison. Of course, they won their 2 championships at Renault. If he does go there, that would be good for Fernando. There's people that he would know there. And the advantage of having Alonso is, while he is a bit divisive, you can just offer him a 2-year deal and he'll probably take it. Because he'll understand that he's not got a huge amount of time left. So take that 2-year deal, put Antonelli in the Williams for a couple of years. Honestly, your Mercedes, if Alonso isn't cutting it, you can just pay him off. But I know they wouldn't do that. But we have seen that in Formula One before. Most notably when Kimi Raikkonen was paid not to race in 2010 by Ferrari. So, to allow Alonso to join them. Talking of Alonso, he's winning this race. Hamilton has pitted though for a second time for a set of hards. He's 18 seconds back. How much do we need for a pit stop? Probably 20. Yeah, more than 18 seconds. So we'll come out behind him, but we'll be able to chase him down. We probably should go a little bit more easy on it. But not concentrating on the tyres. Apparently Hamilton makes 25 million in bonuses. That's nice, isn't it? Oh yeah, my contract says I make 20 million, 25 million just in bonuses alone. Absolute madness, that amount of money. So Alonso we might have to go to another set of hards with, because we've kind of used these ones a bit too much. Whoops. Right, let's get to our pit stop window, which is still actually a long way away with Fernando and not as far away with Ocon. Let's see where we are when the tyres are basically done. But this might also hand the win to Hamilton. So we're going to need to make up some 8 seconds, well 10 seconds now. We're going to have to box it. We've got a fresh set of mediums. Let's go with the mediums. Get Alonso in on them. Bring Ocon in. Fresh set of mediums. Let's do it. George needs to bounce back this season and show that he can live up to the expectation as the future #1. Yes, yeah, absolutely. He didn't have a good season last year in terms of results, but he matched Hamilton in terms of like outright pace, especially over qualifying, and in the races he generally had good pace, but he just made some errors. It was good to see him on the podium in the last race in Abu Dhabi. He kind of deserved that to sort of finish his season on a high. So we need to get motoring if we want to win this race. Hamilton needs the win because of his championship situation. We'll let the tyres come in a little bit more naturally to their temperature window. Let's see. Yellow flag. Albon. Man, he's just so like inept in this. For some reason, like his consistency is just dreadful. Okay, Hamilton being reeled in at a rate of knots. Alonso's just done a 35.9. He was 3 seconds faster. Did I really need to worry about anything? We are deploying and pushing with the engine bit. That's beside the point.
Copy that.
We can go that fast.
And we need to increase.
SHC says he still has faith in George.
Okay, copy.
That he'll bounce back and be Mercedes' golden boy. Just needs to reduce the errors. Yeah. It's the same with any driver I think coming up. They all have their errors. They're not immune from them. And George does need to iron a couple of bits out, but he's more than ready to take the fight to a championship battle if he needs to, I think. But then there is that sort of level between race winner, championship contender, world champion. And some drivers can make this leap much quicker than others. And some go from race winner to championship contender and they can't make that final step. It looked for a long time like Kimi Raikkonen might be sort of stuck there, but he got the job done. Talking of getting the job done, we are already within DRS range of Hamilton. So this could be interesting. I've not really paid attention to what Ocon's doing in this race. He's 5 seconds behind Leclerc. There's Alonso. DRS open and not quite close enough to get through this time. Yeah, we truly have been owning it since Spa. We've not been beaten since then, and based on that evidence, we're not going to be beaten today because we won in Qatar. We won the sprint in Qatar, now won the sprint in COTA, and we're set to win the Grand Prix in COTA as well. What's Ocon is 7/10 a lap. No, that's more than 7/10, isn't it? That is 1.3 seconds faster than Leclerc per lap. I don't know if Hamilton's got the pace to come back at us here. He might do. Has he got the tyres? Probably not. So going to the mediums is probably a good shout. But yeah, we have absolutely crushed it since the summer break. Well, Spa was just before, but yeah, around the summer break time, we have just destroyed it with this car. We've put some good upgrades on it, and it's just transformed the car into an absolute beast. And Alonso's absolutely laughing his head off. Well, I'll say that, he's just run wide. Maybe he's just playing with Hamilton. Gust of wind, it was that Nico Rosberg gust of wind. Have I got a favourite still game episode? Do you mean the Mercedes series episode, Sean? As Hamilton goes round the outside. What's my favourite beer? Oh, hang on. Hamilton is taking the lead. This is getting spicy. I don't really drink beer. I'm more of a rum and coke kind of guy. So my favourite rum is Kraken. Delicious. It's absolutely wonderful. I got a bottle of it for my birthday a couple of weeks ago. It's just such a cool bottle. But if I was going to go for a beer, I like Moretti because it's not so gassy. Nice and smooth, nice and light. Yeah, goes down really well. But obviously, drink responsibly, of course. And we need to overtake responsibly because we're P2 and we don't like P2. We like this position. We like P1. There we go. Let's deploy and push with the engine and break DRS. Yeah, I agree, SHT. I don't think Perez will leave F1. I think he's still got more to offer. He's certainly got something to offer a team in the midfield. Oh, it's a program. Oh. Still game on telly. I haven't seen it. I will check it out though. Sean, and I can come back to you and tell you my favourite part about it. No, I certainly think Perez has got something to offer a team in the midfield. Where there'd be a space for him, I'm not sure. Could it be a swap, Ricciardo and Perez? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it in the middle of the season if Perez is underperforming. Let's be honest. Red Bull don't beat around the bush when it comes to ditching drivers. Yeah, Vettel kind of went downhill, especially after the 2018 sort of season end, the second half of that season. His confidence was just ripped to shreds, wasn't it, really? Because he'd made errors, it cost him the championship, he was just completely out of sorts. We are comfortably winning this race again, so I'm just going to go to the end, I think. Yeah, and the thing is, Vettel did a good job with Aston Martin, and maybe if Alonso moved on, there's a chance there for Perez to go back in at Aston Martin now. Oh, Verstappen has crashed out. absolutely destroyed the car. I mean, it probably looks better than it's ever done, that W13, 14 even. It's crashing the S's. Look, it's just going to... the crash model needs to... Whoa! It's basically exploded. It's carbon fibre confetti. Yeah, it's well worth the hands over mouth, hands on head. It's a Scottish sitcom produced by the comedy unit with BBC Scotland. I will check that out, Sean. Thank you for that. Russell's about to get good points for AlphaTauri. I mean, at one point he was winning this race. What lap are we on? We're a few laps from the end. Yeah, Russell P6. That is an outstanding job from him. I mean, we could put a set of softs on here, surely. And just overtake for the lead again for the fun of it, see if we can do it. I'm not going to. Hulkenberg as well, getting some points for Williams. Double points for Alpine. Tsunoda with a P5, that's pretty good from him. I know Aston Martin have got a good car, but Sargent is only 14th. When's the VSC ending? We're going to have cold tyres by the time it restarts. What lap are we on? Lap 52. But we're all fine, I think. Green flags are out again. Ocon has got himself up to P3. So it's going to be another double podium. Stroll's having a nightmare, yeah. Haas are not having a good day. They've not done particularly much in this save. I don't remember them particularly getting a standout result. Obviously the standout performer at the moment is Fernando Alonso. He's just waltzing to another win. He's on the penultimate lap. Let's get to the final lap. Here he is, Fernando Alonso. He's going to have a almost 60-point lead by the end of this episode. Bottas has double points for Williams. Wow, Magnussen has he made a mistake? He must have gone off. He must have gone off. Alright, Alonso navigating the final few corners. And it's a clean sweep in the stream for Fernando Alonso. 2 sprints, 2 Grand Prix.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show.
And I echo Fernando's thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the show.
We deserve it. I think we deserve it.
Taking the front.
Ocon comes home P3,
Awesome race,
so it's another double podium for Ferrari. It's essentially the same podium in, well, it is exactly the same podium in both races. And Alonso celebrates once again. Alonso not going on forever to be at every team. I mean, could you imagine if you raced for every team on the grid at one point? That would be mad. Oh, Gasly stole the fastest lap. You jammy little dodger. Right, championship standings in the constructors. We have opened up 10 points on Red Bull over this weekend, so we are now... Ooh, so that is 56 points clear of Red Bull at this stage with 4 rounds to go, including 1 sprint. And Fernando Alonso is now... that is... Hang on, 54 plus 4, 58. 58 points clear of Lewis Hamilton. That championship is almost there for Fernando, who might even be able to win. At this rate, he could win it in... So not Mexico, the one after that. Maybe Brazil. He could win it in Brazil. Doesn't he? He just loves winning a championship in Brazil. Amazing. Alright, let's move on through here then. There's still so many possibilities, isn't there, SHT? So many things to be decided now. I mean, the Norris and Leclerc contracts being tied up actually looked like it was going to be relatively tame. But this is it's kind of seismic, isn't it? I'm just going to quickly save this before I change screens, if I can find the right save to save on. There we go. Lovely stuff. Alrighty. Amazing stream tonight. Thank you so much to everybody who joined in and sent a message, got involved in the conversation. Really, really enjoyed that. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to work on getting the next episode of the full season at Monaco series sorted for Monday. Hopefully for Monday, maybe. I'll have a look at it. Might have to record a quick Mercedes episode to go in its place and give myself a little bit of time. But we'll see. That's coming out later this week. There'll be more Mercedes journey as well. And we'll be back for a live stream next weekend as well. So thanks to everyone for joining me. Of course, if you're new here, leave a like on the stream. Subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Discord, because there's going to be something new coming to the channel that you can get involved with through Discord as well. And that's getting a facelift from my friend Tom in the near future as well. So lots to look forward to. Thank you very much for joining me. You're the best fans. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, guys.